Bring in show music, please.
Hi, I'm CNBC producer Katie Kramer. Today on Squawk Pod. Lining up the players in the next Trump administration.
President-elect Trump doesn't want to rattle the markets.
A new cabinet coming together with speed. Mike Allen of Axios on Trump 2.0.
He's going in to do what some people have called the hostile takeover of the government. And that's the message that these picks send.
And the latest in the AI revolution, algorithms that will answer your questions and fill your shopping carts. Rising star platform Perplexity's co-founder and CEO Aravind Srinivas is pushing his model ahead.
You need to actually enable actions. What do you do after an answer, purchase, or transaction? So all these products need to get there.
All that today, plus the rest of the news that got us squawking. It's Monday, November 18th. Squawk Pod begins right now.
Stand Becky by in 3, 2, 1. Cue it, please.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Squawk Box right here on CNBC. We are live from the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. I'm Becky Quick, along with Joe Kernen and Andrew Ross Sorkin.
We got a lot of news for you, starting with this. Spirit Airlines filing for bankruptcy protection. Early this morning, the carrier announced a prearranged deal with its bondholders. This was expected and said it expects to continue operating normally throughout the process. In the filing, Spirit saying that it expects third quarter margins to be 12% lower year over year, and sales will be $61 million lower as well. Tesla shares, they're jumping again. This after a Bloomberg report said President-elect Trump's transition team, you're surprised about this, planning to make a federal framework to regulate self-driving vehicles. The report saying that the framework would be a top priority for the Department of Transportation. And of course, the speculation is that Elon Musk would have a large role, or at least some influence over how that all worked out. I think we always thought I thought that was already built into the stock price.
I kind of did too, yeah.
So I'm a little surprised.
I guess hearing it straight up, that it's actually going to happen would be a big deal. It's been such a huge part of Tesla's move for what they have planned next. And it would have to get done, but we'll see what happens.
And interesting to see if states, and this I don't know, can states overrule NHTSA?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
I don't know the answer to that, but obviously there have been some states that have taken a more aggressive stance around, Arizona, parts of California are allowing these vehicles to drive on their roads. Other states have decided not to do this. If NHTSA, for example, I don't know if NHTSA is the formal even regulator that would regulate all of this, said yes, self-driving cars on all roads all the time. Could they do that? I don't know.
I mean, I guess it wouldn't have teeth unless they threatened federal funding for roads would go away if you didn't follow and comply with some of these things. That's how the federal government has pushed through state and local things in the past. They tie it to federal funding.
But with cars, I'm just trying to think.
But I don't know if
with
NHTSA would
cars
be
with like EPA standards, actually, right? Every state has their own standard about like what kind of car can be sold in the state. Right. But I don't know about every kind of car that can be driven in the state.
This better not happen.
What?
I just bought my Carrera S off lease. All right, so now I own the effing thing. So, it is not self-driving. There's 7 speeds in a clutch. But I am interested in this. I'm also, I don't know. What does it mean? Cover of the Wall Street Journal: investors are betting on a market melt-up. That just makes me think, oh my God.
What are you saying? It's like the Sports Illustrated cover?
I don't know. Not necessarily, but you do have investors now bullish at 49.8%. That's pretty bullish. All this money is moving into exchange-traded funds, $56 billion in the week ended. It's all happening, though, at about 23 times earnings, and that's fine. But last week we were down a little, and it could happen. Money is liquidity. Seems like it trumps everything, not to use that word.
Liquidity and government regulations becoming more,
everything.
lighter and a more
lower
business-friendly
taxes. There's a lot of reasons why everyone is. What did Jamie Dimon say last week? They're dancing in the streets or something for bankers and possible mergers. It just all seems too pat, and then you put it on the cover of the Wall Street Journal that there's a meltdown. President-elect Trump and his advisors are now considering a new slate of contenders for Treasury Secretary. Reports say a messy fight over the role has irritated Trump and his team in recent days. Among the people now being discussed for the role, former Fed governor and frequent Squawk guest Kevin Warsh, Apollo Global Management CEO Mark Rowan, and we had Bill Hagerty, the Republican senator from Tennessee, on. We knew he was in the running. Continued to be in the mix, Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick. They're the longtime frontrunners for the job. Kudlow's been mentioned. Many are said to be in contention, although reports say an aggressive campaign by Lutnick and his allies to land the job irked President Trump and some of his advisors. Elon Musk tweeted about the candidates on Saturday. He said, "My view, for what it's worth, is that Bessent is a business as usual choice where Howard Lutnick will actually enact change. Business as usual is driving America bankrupt, so we need to change one way or another." And he felt the need to actually, he's around. He's around.
He's standing right next to the
Mac, right next to.
He's standing right next to the president. That's what I was wondering. They're on the plane. They're going to the UFC fight down to the Garden, right? They're doing
the public pressure, and you wonder if that irritates.
Right? Does that irritate him?
Right.
And then, but would Trump just say, "Why are you tweeting? You can just tell me what you think, right? You're sitting right here."
He's got 205 million followers now. I guess he's got the new record. Yeah, I saw that article too.
But then the other question is the business as usual people.
Yeah.
I don't want to suggest. I don't want to suggest that Kevin Warsh or Mark Rowan or Scott Bessent are business as usual, but I think that they would be more business as usual, and I think that the markets would like business as usual.
It's and that one of the articles I read suggested that President-elect Trump doesn't want to rattle the markets. He's very fond of looking at the stock market as a barometer of how he's doing. Right. Mm-hmm. So, a business as usual.
So it's funny. We all thought, and I still think that Steve Mnuchin did a remarkable job.
I thought so too. Yeah.
The articles suggested that he thought that sometimes Steve Mnuchin was sort of off the reservation doing his own thing, which I did not think was the case.
I didn't think that either. He may not have loved everything Mnuchin did, but I think they were pretty close. And I don't know. Because Trump would have not had him there anymore if that was the case.
Take much to do something that probably irks President-elect Trump at some point. Not that that's necessarily a huge fault, but he's probably pretty tough on everyone. I would think. Join us now to talk about that. Trump's other picks over the weekend. Mike Allen from Axios. There's an article I saw somewhere, Mike, that MAGA is just embracing the chaos. They love it. They just love the chaos. And we've had some. We've had some, RFK Jr. for health, and I don't know what's going to happen to Matt Gaetz, supposedly. Can you tell us there? More than half the Republicans, I think, are saying, whoa, hold on a second. And then you got Treasury Secretary. Got anything new on that?
This is a very unusual situation because, as you've seen, President-elect Trump has been pedal to the metal on these picks. More than half of his cabinet picks already out, and American University professor over the weekend gave us some stats. This is like 7 times faster than President Biden picked his cabinet. But here he's slowing his roll on Treasury. He's saying, stop, let's look at some new candidates. And I would not expect action on this today or tomorrow. There's going to be a serious look at Kevin Warsh, who your viewers know very well, and Mark Rowan. They're going to be down at Mar-a-Lago. And what happened here is there was a big list. The two of them were on it. The governor where I live, Virginia, was on that list, took himself out. Governor Youngkin took himself out. But you got this, what the New York Times is calling a knife fight between Howard Lutnick, Scott Bessent, and the president was like, whoa, let's look at some other candidates. So I think the situation that you have now, there could now be a contest for Treasury Secretary where the number one job, as you guys suggested, is reassuring the markets. I 100% agree with what your read of what's in his mind. And as you look at these candidates, if you think about Trump, what does Trump like? Trump likes pedigree, and Trump is obsessed with the markets. And that's why I can see Kevin Warsh as a very strong candidate. As your viewers know, he was the youngest Fed governor when he became a Fed governor. He's someone that the markets love, and I can see being a very strong candidate. Second choice, the backup job that may be offered to some of these candidates is director of the White House National Economic Council.
The Fed job's not going to open up for a while for Warsh. So maybe
funny that you say that. That you're spot on, Joe. That remains his long game, but the thinking in his world is that could come later in a Trump term.
I think Kevin has the ear of a lot of really smart people, as we know, too, Druckenmiller, others, and this would probably would be taken positively to some extent, but he's no, he doesn't want to flood the market with liquidity. I can tell you that much, which helps obviously bull markets. He has been a critic of the Fed and not only the guidance given so much, but also how long they were at zero, and that the cost of money wasn't being in capital. It was too easy for it to go places where it shouldn't have gone. So I don't know if that's perfect for what a real estate guy is looking for, low interest rate guy.
Yeah, the flip side of that is I mentioned that the number one thing President Trump is looking for is someone to reassure the markets. Like market stability, market satisfaction makes everything else that the president-elect is trying to do possible. He knows that one of the reasons for his decisive win was the direction of the economy. And so he's going to be judged very much on that. And that's why this is such a central pick. And that's why all these picks that we're seeing are establishment types, people that would be acceptable on Wall Street. You're not seeing the left field picks, the more impulsive picks that you saw for some of the other jobs.
That's interesting. Yeah, so this really matters to Trump. So he doesn't need to send signals to the disruptors that want everything shaken up here. It's almost he wants the anti-disruptor for the important economic jobs. That's hilarious. That's funny.
That's a perfect frame.
Yeah, Department of Defense.
Or the health. Stick this guy in.
Although it is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Mike, what are you hearing just in terms of whether these candidates or these nominees will be pushed through by the Senate, whether there'll be recess appointments? What's the latest?
The White House doesn't know, but the Mar-a-Lago White House doesn't know yet, but they're keeping all their options open. What I'm told is that President-elect Trump is really feeling his mandate. That's why you've seen these defiant, aggressive picks. And there's enough of them that they figure if they lose a few of them, that they still will be able to move the agenda. And I'm told what's in the president's mind is he's saying, these are people who are fighters. These people who are people who see the system the way I see the system, who also feel either victims of the system or see the system as the enemy. And he's going in to do what some people have called the hostile takeover of the government. And that's the message that these picks send. He's opening up different ways to do it. Could we do some of them without Congress? Can we do some of it by pressuring Congress? Like a very interesting twist that was shared with me is they see the RFK confirmation hearing as a feature, not a bug. They see it as a massive platform for the Robert Kennedy views on health. And so what they said to me is, sure, the senators are going to ask him about vaccines and fluoride, but he's going to talk about how the health system is all messed up. So they actually are optimistic.
Yeah, he's no Matt Gaetz. I think RFK Jr. is a serious pick. For Thune, let me see if you agree with this. I think John, he's a young guy that I think really wanted, majority leader. I just don't think you would do a recess appointment for Matt Gaetz right out of the box, would you? That wouldn't be the way you'd start a. How long was McConnell in, Mike? 20 years or so, longest ever, right?
Right. By the way, I love it. It says something about our government that we could sit here and say that John Thune, 63, is a young man. Of course, Joe, you and I.
Well, that's me. That might be. He looks young.
Look, a lot of Trump's picks actually are really young. They're in the 40s, young 40s, a lot of them, and that's interesting.
But he could go 20 years. McConnell's 82, I think, or something. So it could be a 20-year stint, as I'm sure he's hoping for that. But would you start, if they don't release a report, Mike Johnson says they're not even going to release it because he's out of the House. But if they don't release it, I just don't see any way that it ends up happening. More than half the senator, it's a stated, I think, intention of more than half not to let it go forward, isn't it, or not?
Well, here's the math, and I think it confirms your hunch there. Republicans can only lose 3 Senate votes, and then they can have former Senator J.D. Vance break the tie. And you can count 4 senators who might go against him. There's a couple of senators who've been against these specific picks. There's a couple of senators who are just establishment oriented toward the system. And so you can easily get to 4. There could be new information come about any of these nominees. I heard that there's more attention inside Mar-a-Lago being paid to vetting since the news stories about some of these candidates. There was vetting. This is sometimes misportrayed in the press, but it isn't in any sense the usual thorough process with FBI checks and all that.
Mike, 2 other questions. We talked about Mark Rowan, who I think is actually one of the smartest people on Wall Street. He obviously runs one of the biggest firms. It's a publicly traded firm. The stock not down that much this morning in the pre-market, which suggests to me that maybe the market doesn't think that this is in the offing. What do you think about that?
That's your world more than I. Say that Mark is like a fascinating pick, as you know, like came back to run Apollo. I hear is coming back from Asia for his Mar-a-Lago meeting. And so 2 very impressive candidates who check all of Trump's boxes. And that's why he's saying, give me new names. Right. By the way, we're chatting about ages. Young by Washington standards, not by the standards of the table, of course, but actually young Kevin Warsh at 54.
And then the other question I had for you, Mike, is we've been talking about Tesla. The stock is ripping this morning. And I'm not going to ask you so much about the stock, but this idea of making autonomous vehicles regulated and creating a framework that I imagine folks must think is going to be influenced by Elon Musk to a large degree for the stock to be moving the way it is. Becky and I were talking earlier about how we thought that was already sort of baked into the stock.
No, this like a stock's going to move with a headline like this. What I can tell you about how Elon and the president, how Musk and the president are thinking about these questions is very much, why can't we do it? They aren't thinking, what can we do? They look at government, they look at cuts, they look at these frameworks, they look at regulation, and they say, what can't we do? And so that's a very important lens insight as you look at these headlines, because I can tell you everything I'm hearing from Mar-a-Lago is they are feeling aggressive and they're going to put a lot, they're going to try a lot, and they have the courts on their side. They have most of Congress on their side. And this insight that the president feels more confident this time than he did 8 years ago, that he knows the players, that he knows the government, that he trusts his gut. I'm told that is a massive factor in all these conversations.
Right. Last question for you, Mike, at least from me. When you see a tweet like the one we saw over the weekend from Elon Musk saying that his pick would be a Lutnick over a Scott Bessent, and you also know that Musk is sitting like physically next to Trump, both on the airplane and at the UFC fight over the weekend, do you think to yourself that this is, quote unquote, an authorized tweet? Meaning, does Musk say, hey, I'm going to tweet this out? What do you think? Or does Trump say, yeah, you should tweet this out and make it clear that maybe that's his opinion? Or do you think that he is off the reservation and this is what he says what he wants to say, and then Trump says, why'd you tweet that?
Yeah, Andrew, there's a third way. So you and I talk all the time about palace intrigue. Like, this is literal palace intrigue, right? You have the King's Court there at Mar-a-Lago. You have, under the big chandelier in the tea room, you have Musk sitting there helping make these picks. There's a lot of games being played here, and who knows what was behind that tweet? Could that tweet have been a favor for Howard, right? Like, I wouldn't take anything coming out of Mar-a-Lago at the moment at face value. There's a lot to read into it, and a lot that we don't know. But I can tell you the big picture is the president, Musk, very much aligned. You saw that in the photos of them right next to each other at the UFC fight back at Madison Square Garden this weekend. I hope Elon has more than one of those Occupies Mars T-shirts, because he's wearing the Occupies Mars T-shirt in every single
They have
photo
a good laundry
these
system
days.
at Mar-a-Lago. I think that Mar-a-Lago, they'll overnight that. They'll overnight the cleaning.
Touché.
Mike,
No doubt.
walking in, I couldn't think of anything. I tried to figure out what that. It's not really entourage, because that was, they were all not. I came up with the Rat Pack. I mean, I was thinking Dino and Frank, and walking in, and it was kind of, I don't know. It was. I'm not saying I definitely want to be there like hanging out or anything, but it was kind of. It reminded me of, okay, look who's coming in here. They walk up. There's Rogan, and the guy gives him the belt, and it's crazy.
And X, which is now so powerful, and Jim Vandehei and I are up this morning on Axios with a behind the curtain column about some of the mega trends from 2024, the tectonic shifts that will last past this cycle. And a massive one is X as the forum for conservative conversation. So changed that ecosystem. And on there, tons of conversation this weekend about the fact that a lot of the people in that Rat Pack picture that you were talking about, including the president-elect, former Democrats.
The other thing that I was thinking is that, Republicans will never be cool, you know what I mean, like Hollywood, but they're cooler. They throw Kid Rock in maybe. And then you look at what Springsteen and Leo and Clooney and whomever, $1.5 billion in 100 days, and you're the first Democrat to lose the popular vote in 2 decades, given all those endorsements. Useless.
Joe, that is a massive conversation in MAGA world right now. They say we have the culture, and even athletes doing the Trump dance, right?
Yep.
So much of this Trump stigma is gone. A story up in Axios this weekend by my colleague Erica Pandy talking about how the formerly secret Trump voters are now out, and being a Trump voter now, not only not shameful, can actually be cool.
Oh my God. Okay, I just, as a feeling person, I'm feeling for the people that aren't, that still think Orange Man bad, and they must be, I don't know if they got to leave or something. I think they feel like they have to move, probably, at this point. Please don't go. Thanks, Mike. See you later.
The Rat Pack edition. Thanks for your coverage.
Rat Pack, baby. Rat Pack.
By the way,
Dino.
well done at an airport
Sammy.
there.
Huh?
Somebody wanted to know why he wasn't in the United Club, but well done at the airport.
You're not leaving, are you,
Coming from
Mike?
anywhere.
You're not headed out for good, are you? That's
Headed out, but I'll be back
Portugal.
soon. So.
Portugal. You can still get you can't get the golden ticket anymore, the golden passport. Portugal.
I don't fly quite as fancy as Joe does, but I'm hopping on JetBlue.
I'll bet you do. If you're using like Amex miles to like someday hope to get to the front of the plane, you're flying like me.
See you on JetBlue.
Safe flight.
Tease will be next.
Coming up on Squawk Pod, how AI platform Perplexity aims to dominate a very crowded field. CEO and co-founder Aravind Srinivas says it is about narrowing focus.
There's a quote of Bruce Lee's, I don't fear the man who does 10,000 kicks once, I fear the man who does one kick 10,000 times. So you have to really focus on one thing and nail it.
This is Squawk Pod.
You're watching Squawk Box on CNBC. I'm Andrew Ross Sorkin along with Joe Kernen and Becky Quick on this Monday morning. Let's get some news from Perplexity AI this morning. The company launching an AI-powered shopping assistant that should help it with consumers as holiday bargain hunting ramps up. Joining us right now to talk about this and the broader competition in AI, Aravind Srinivas is the CEO of Perplexity AI, and we love having you on the broadcast. Congratulations on the new launch. Let's talk about that piece of it, and then let's get into the broader sort of question of where things are. OpenAI recently releasing its own search product. How important is the shopping piece for you?
Yeah, thank you for having me again here, Andrew. So shopping is really essential because it's just one of these verticals where strongly you convey that all these AI products are moving beyond just giving you answers, right? A lot of people say, oh, which AI product should I really use? They're all looking like the same. They're all giving me answers. Some use the web, some don't. But you need to actually enable actions. What do you do after an answer? Purchase, a transaction. So all these products need to get there. So shopping is the first step for us to actually get there, and we're very happy to be the first to do that. Where at Perplexity now becomes a one-stop solution to not just research your products on what to buy, but you can actually go and buy it right there natively on the app. So with one-click buy, which is revolutionary in e-commerce even 20, 30 years ago, we're bringing into AI products, and we're giving free shipping for all people. And they can just take their phone and like point it at some product that they want to buy and just ask, where can I buy this? And they can just get it right there. And this is really powerful. So people can just compare, ask questions they could never ask before, like help me build a library or help me host a disco party. What all do I need to buy? And you just get all the products right there and compare, and all the reviews are surfaced from so many different parts of the web, and you just fulfill your transactions right there.
Well, that's what I was going to ask about. What products you surface, what products you don't surface. Obviously, Amazon has its own search business inside its own platform. Can you get Amazon products on it? Are you, I hate to use the word scraping, but, when you look at reviews on other sites and you're pulling that, is everybody allowing all of this to happen? Are some going to block you? How's it going to work?
Yeah, so we are also introducing this thing called the merchant program, the Perplexity merchant program. And we're inviting merchants to work with us because we think consumers love this, and that's always the long-term correct direction. And so if we can collaboratively build this next generation shopping assistant for all customers, where merchants can bring their catalog to us and product specs and help in the checkout flow, that way we can provide this experience to everybody. And we're already working with Shopify. We're enabling people to check out products on Shopify through Shop Pay and bringing it right into our search results.
I mentioned Amazon because Jeff Bezos is a very high-profile investor in your company. Is Amazon involved, and do you think that they will be?
We're not yet ready to talk about who's currently in the program, but we are happy to work with everybody, and that includes Amazon too.
Let's switch gears for a second and just talk more broadly about the search business, if you will, and how AI relates to it. OpenAI recently announced its own search product. How do you think about that product versus your own product versus what you're seeing now from Google with some of the AI features that it's added?
Yeah, like I said, all these products are currently very similar in the minds of the average consumer, or they're all giving me answers to questions. Right. I think you need to go beyond that. You need to provide real-time information on verticals that matter in everyone's lives. Sports, finance, we did the election hub when the elections were going on. Today we're doing shopping. We're enabling not just information, but actions, transactions. So AI products need to move to a direction where commerce and businesses and consumers transact with each other, and everyday information is provided in a much more end-to-end workflow and custom UIs. So that's what we are working on. And we feel like we are ahead of everybody else in that direction. And I think that's what we need to keep doing more verticals, travel, finance, a lot of things need to be done here.
Do you feel like you have more leeway perhaps to do certain things that some of the maybe bigger companies don't? I ask because, interestingly, if you went to OpenAI and asked political questions the night of the election, as you know so well, it would send you off to other places. It did not want to answer those questions. That was a choice that they made. You made a very different choice, which was to lean in fully into the election and create an entire hub around it. How do you think about those two choices and the permission, if you will, that you may have to do something like that maybe OpenAI doesn't feel like it does because of its size and scale?
Well, it's not about necessarily the size and scale. Like, for example, Google also provided the election results on Google search results, right? So it's about your focus. Do you really want to be a search product? Do you really want to like play in the search game? You cannot do 100 things, right? There's a quote of Bruce Lee's like, I fear the man who I don't fear the man who does 10,000 kicks once. I fear the man who does one kick 10,000 times. So you have to really focus on one thing and nail it. And there are like a lot of things to do in a company. So that's exactly why our differentiation from OpenAI comes from. OpenAI is an AGI company. They focus on building models. We are a search company focused on building the next generation search experience for consumers.
Hey, I got a big question for you. I was thinking about all night last night, which is, Google is in the middle of this major lawsuit with the Department of Justice. Owns about 90% of the search business right now. And there is a potential that a judge could ultimately decide to break up the company or do something else to it. Where do you stand on that case and the competition or lack of competition in that space?
I think it's good for American consumers if there are more alternatives in search in general. And we are very interested in not just trying to build the same product as Google and trying to compete for market share on 10 blue links, but provide new experiences to people. And we're doing our part, regardless of what the DOJ rules, we're doing our part to keep pushing the boundaries of what search can be, right? Search can be answers, search can be actions,
right?
And shopping can be redefined. So that's how we are thinking about it.
Do you think about the search business then differently now? Meaning, it used to be in the blue link economy, as I think you've described it, that is one type of search. But now that we are living with AI and what you're doing and what OpenAI is doing and what Anthropic's doing and what others are doing, Amazon with its own search and stuff, do you say to yourself that the ecosystem is that much larger and therefore when people use the 90% market share that Google has, you say that's just a small slice of search? Or do you say that really is the business? This goes to market size in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe so. I would in fact say it's a different market in the sense that the median search query on Google is 2 to 3 words. The median search query on Perplexity is around 10 to 11 words. So people are actually able to ask very detailed questions, much higher intent questions here. And that was not something they were able to do on Google before. So in some sense, that is a new market. That's a new consumer trend that's on the rise. On the other hand, the behavior of people to go and type in Amazon, Instagram, Reddit, TikTok, YouTube, just like these one-word navigational queries on Google, is sort of saturated. Pretty much everybody on the planet knows how to do that, and they do it on a daily basis, right? So We're not competing for those queries, essentially.
Aravind, this is a fascinating conversation. I hope you'll come on back and we can continue it. Really appreciate it. And I don't have to admit it, I am a Perplexity user. Happily so. Thanks.
Next on Squawk Pod, a settlement in sports broadcasting rights that may keep some beloved NBA TV properties on the air.
Is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
Can only hope.
We'll be right back. You're listening to Squawk Pod from CNBC. Here's Joe Kernen.
Stand by, Joe. His mic, cue.
Warner Brothers Discovery has settled its breach of contract lawsuit against the NBA. That's according to a Wall Street Journal report. Now back to $9. That says a deal is expected to be announced as early as this week. Warner Brothers will lose its rights to regular and postseason games for TNT, the network, after this season, but the settlement will give it rights to a significant amount of NBA content domestically and abroad. And separately, Warner Brothers Discovery struck a deal with Disney to license the TNT show Inside the NBA to ESPN and ABC starting next season. The show features Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal.
That's an interesting, Andrew and I were just talking about this. That's an interesting twist that they license it out. Charles Barkley has been so outspoken about all of this. When they first announced that they may lose the deal, he was the one saying, I guess we're not going to have jobs anymore. What are they going to do? Fire us? And he started being more and more outspoken along the way. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but it's an interesting.
I assume it covers the production costs. They're the producer of it, so they're going to make some money maybe doing it, or at least come out flat.
Yeah.
And then the bigger question to me was actually about the Bleacher Report piece of this, which is that they get to use the content for the next, 10 years? Is that what it is, Joe? I think it's 10 years or something like that. And so if that's the case, even though you're not getting the games, they have a huge digital business. And if you were effectively blocked from using the rights or didn't have any rights to cut 30-second, 60-second clips, that business would disappear.
Right.
So that actually has real value to them, at least for some period of time.
I was looking at the stock.
Discovery had already started too, and it was
Zaslav doing all he can, I think. It was $6.60. It's back to just under 10. Some progress being made. What was it? Do you remember? It wasn't like a meme. It was almost a meme. So remember when it got up to $52, $53 a share a couple years ago? That was back in 2020. I can't remember why. Something happened, and it didn't last long. Just trying to remember. I can usually remember things like that. But we do remember it for a lot of the time in the 20s, right? And got all the way down to 6, which is sort of it's almost a media proxy for how difficult the business that WBD is in. And a lot of media, legacy media, are in that same boat with a lot of the same pressures. But
there it is, 21.
Is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
There's the extended stock
You
chart.
can only hope.
What was? You don't remember either?
Well, it
Something ran it up. No,
it was in the
something
pandemic.
specifically.
It was something in the pandemic.
I'll look it up.
I went back to look, Joe. I can't. This was too long ago.
Archegos.
That's Squawk Pod for today, this Monday. Thank you for starting your week off with us. Squawk Box is hosted by Joe Kernen, Becky Quick, and Andrew Ross Sorkin. Tune in weekday mornings on CNBC at 6 Eastern. Get the smartest takes and analysis from our TV show right into your ears when you follow Squawk Pod wherever you get your podcasts. We'll meet you right back here tomorrow.
We are clear. Thanks, guys.